All right. Welcome guys to Genesis 2. I didn't make a video basically this whole week because of finals. It was very stressful. But yeah, so I just had that and then yeah, today's Saturday, so hopefully this gets out same day. But yeah, like I said, today we're gonna be going over Genesis 2, next chapter. So just to kind of recap, Genesis 1 is creation. Um just want to emphasize this before we begin. Evening and morning, one day. So yes, it was a literal 6 days that God created the earth, everything that was in it. So yeah, that basically was Genesis 1. There's a lot that goes into it more, but I'd say just go look at the video. The last one I made. So yeah, let's just start with Genesis 2. So verse 1. Thus the heavens and the earth were completed and all their hosts. Hosts just being everything that's basically created and like alive, so like the animals and all that. So yeah. And on the seventh day, or by the seventh day, God completed his work which he had done, and he rested on the seventh day from all his work which he had done. Then God blessed the seventh day and sanctified it, because on it he rested from all his work which God had created in making it, or yeah, to make it. So, yes, guys, it was a 6 day creation, and the seventh day was sanctified. Why? I mean, I'm pretty sure I did go look at the same verse last video, but this is for the Ten Commandments. God is speaking. God Himself is speaking with these Ten Commandments. And what did He say about the Sabbath? So 6 days you shall labor and do all your work, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of Yahweh your God. In it you shall not do any work, you or your son or your daughter, your male or your female slave, or your cattle, or your sojourner, who is within your gates. For in 6 days Yahweh made the heavens and the earth, the sea, and all that is in them, and rested on the seventh day. Therefore, Yahweh blessed the Sabbath day and made it holy. So it's not like it's Moses speaking just to kind of make it. People try to argue that it is figurative or like poetic, but God Himself is saying that He made it in 6 days. He's saying in 6 days Yahweh made the heavens and the earth. Remember, God spoke all these words, not Moses. So no, this was a literal 7 days. I just want to emphasize this again before like we go into the rest of this, because kind of like the last time I'll make it this point. But yeah, so next verse. These are the generations of the heavens and the earth when they were created, in the day that Yahweh God made earth and heaven. So this part, these are the generations of the heavens. So this word generations is Hebrew to signify kind of like a shift. So the shift now shows Yahweh God, to show what? Personalization, right? Because this is the first time that we actually see Yahweh. It shows personalization, because all times before it's just God. But now that everything was made, we get personalization with Yahweh. So yeah. And verse 5. Now no shrub of the field was yet in the earth, and no plant of the field had yet grown, for Yahweh God had not caused it to rain upon the earth, but there was no man to cultivate the ground. So no shrub of the field was yet in the earth, and no plant of the field had yet grown, for Yahweh God had not caused it to rain upon the earth, and there was no man to cultivate the ground. So this is basically the condition of the earth before like man and like all that. So yeah, this is the condition before man. So there was no shrub of the field as yet, no plant had grown. So it's just basically grass is my best guess would just be grass, and then obviously the ocean of seas. So yeah, and of course there was no man to cultivate the ground, so to grow it. But a stream or mist would rise from the earth and water the whole surface of the ground. This part kind of confused me, because it's like a stream would rise from the earth and water the whole surface of the ground. So like literally everything. So to be honest, I did ask ChatGPT on this, because this really didn't make sense. I asked it to basically make an image of it. So with the mist, it would look something like this. Like a mist would come out of the ground and then water like basically the whole earth, like basically through like rain is my best guess. Like the way the mist would come out and just drop back down, that's basically how it would be. Or the mist would just kind of spread out and just water everything on the ground, all the grass. Or other translations say stream, so it'd be like this, and then the water or mist would come out of it and also do the same thing. So that is really the best I could really come up with for this, because it's not exactly something that really happens today. So you could think of it as like a calmer geyser, I guess would be like the best way to kind of explain it. But it isn't really something that we have today. So yeah. Then we move on to verse 7. Then Yahweh God formed man of dust from the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and so the man became a living being. Literal translation, soul. So then here we could talk about the actual soul. The word here is nefesh. So you could just look at nefesh translated to English. Like, oh my gosh, what are you doing that? Translated to English, it literally just says soul. So then you could just look at here, the Bible Hub, all the times that he uses nefesh, the Hebrew word, and it literally just means like a breathing creature, pretty much. It's just life itself, a soul, living being, life, self, person, desire, passion, appetite, emotion. So focus on this right here: soul, living being, life, self, person, because these are the more literal translations of it. So soul, living being, life, self, person. So it's in all these verses, and literally Genesis 1:21, living creature that moves, every living creature that moves. So yes, animals have souls. It's not exactly the souls that we're kind of used to. It's not the like the separate ghost immortal entity that the Greeks taught. No, it's life. That's literally what it is. The man became a living soul, not that he had one or God inserted a living soul into him. No, he became one, meaning that it's life. It is life. That's literally what it is. And then later on, this is talking about the food laws. So the life, this is the nefesh, the soul, because remember they're interchangeable. So the soul, that is its blood. So the soul is actually the blood. So that's why he became a living soul. Like the blood is in there. Same with the animals. They have souls. If you want to use that word, like the way phrase it like that, they have souls. So yeah, that whole soul thing is a whole different topic. I like I said in the theistic evolution video, I made a podcast on it. The mortality of the soul, I talk about what it actually is. But just to make it short here, it's the blood and animals have it too. It's not like that separate ghost entity that like Raw used to, because it's just something that the Greeks taught. But yeah. So Yahweh God formed man of dust from the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, so the man became a living soul. So yeah, just really want to emphasize that part. And verse 8, and Yahweh God planted a garden in Eden toward the east, and there he placed the man whom he had formed. Going back to, oh, this is the first part. Okay, so yeah, Yahweh planted the garden and he placed the man there. So first he made the man, then God planted Eden, and then he placed the man in there. And then verse 9, and out of the ground Yahweh caused to grow every tree that is desirable in appearance and good for food. The tree of life also in the midst of the garden, or middle center. And the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. So both were in the middle, basically like the main point of Eden. So yeah, Yahweh God caused to grow, emphasizing active creation, not that God just planted something and then just said, like, all right, I'll just leave it be and let it grow on its own. No, that's not what happened. It's active creation. So that whole like just let it kind of play out like evolution. No, that's not what happened. So yeah, then we move on to verse 10. Now a river went out of Eden to water the garden. So this is sort of just gonna be a geography lesson of where it was. So yeah. Now a river went out of Eden to water the garden, and from there it divided and became four rivers or heads, but more focused on rivers. And the name of the first is Pishon. It is the one that went around the whole land of Havilah, where there is gold. Now the gold of that land is good. The bdellium and the onyx stone are there. And the name of the second river is Gihon. It is the one that went around the whole land of Cush. And the name of the third river is Tigris. It is the one that went east of Ashur. And the fourth river is the Euphrates. So you could just kind of look up where would the Garden of Eden be today. Like, it's pretty difficult to really kind of put it together, but it'd be roughly, of course, it's very debated, but I guess it would roughly be around there. So yeah, there's also like kind of like a map of the world. Like it is pretty confusing, but yeah, like best guess would probably be this one or this one. If Eden would be like right there, and rivers. So yeah, it is a very debated topic, but that's kind of just like a geography lesson of where it might have been. But this is saying where it was, but of course we talk about where it might have been. And then verse 15, then Yahweh God took the man and set him in the Garden of Eden to cultivate it and keep it. So then going back to here, Yahweh planted the garden toward the east and he planted the man. So same one is Adam. So his commandments, or the first part, this is work. So this is literally the first example of work. So it's not exactly a bad thing. So to cultivate and keep it. So basically to grow the garden and protect it, because that phrase "keep it" is the word for protect. Because also later in Genesis we'll go over it, but with the whole Cain and Abel story, when God asked Cain what happened or where is Abel when he killed him, he asked him, "Where are you?" or "Where is Abel?" And then Cain answered, "I don't know. Am I my brother's keeper?" Which is this like protector, pretty much. So yeah, so to grow the garden and to protect it. That's basically what the first like job was for them. And then verse 16, and Yahweh God commanded the man, saying, "From any tree of the garden you may surely eat, but from the tree of knowledge of good and evil you shall not eat from it, for in the day that you eat from it, you will surely die." So yeah, this was Yahweh God's commandment to Adam, so he can eat any tree, but from this one tree you shall not eat from it. So of course it's a test of obedience, and also showing that he has all the freedom in the world, just one boundary, so which is of course the test of obedience. And then verse 18, then Yahweh God said, "It is not good for the man to be alone. I will make him a helper suitable for him." So if you want to look at this in the KJV too, it also does say uh he that he'll make him and help meet for him. So make him a helper. So yeah, people do try to say that like basically that there was like a wife before Eve, and basically that right here they would say find him a helper suitable for him instead of make him, but it's in either of those translations, so I don't really know what to think about it. But yeah, I don't really know what to think about it, to be honest. And then we move on to verse 19. And out of the ground Yahweh God had formed every beast of the field and every bird of the sky, and he brought each to the man to see what he would call it. And whatever the man called a living creature, this is also a nefesh. This living creature is also the nefesh. So yes, soul as well, life. That was its name. And the man gave names to all the cattle and to the birds of the sky and to every beast of the field. But for Adam there was not found a helper suitable for him. So Yahweh God caused a deep sleep to fall upon the man, and he slept. Then he took one of his ribs and closed up the flesh at that place. And Yahweh God fashioned the rib, or built the rib, which he had taken from the man, into a woman, and he brought her to the man. This brought her to the man. A lot of people, I would also like to agree with this, that it signifies the father basically presenting the bride to the groomsmen for marriage. This is the first signification of marriage. And of course, what is the first thing that God says is not good? To be alone. So yes, all of you, male and female, go find a partner. Of course, you'll know from God, like if they really are the one for you, not just go after everybody. Of course not. But yes, it is not good for us to be alone. Just really want to emphasize that we should be having a spouse, we should be having children, we should. It's also in Genesis 1. Be fruitful and multiply, right? Where is it? There you go. God bless. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created a male and female, he created them. God blessed them, and God said to them, "Be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth and subdue it and have dominion over it." Yeah. So yeah, I do think that it is good for all of us to have spouses and be married. Yes, that is a good thing. So, and it is not good for us to be alone. So yeah. So brought her to the man. Then the man said, so then Adam said, "This one finally is bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. This one shall be called woman, because this one was taken out of man. Therefore, a man shall leave his father and mother and cleave to his wife, and they shall become one flesh." Yes, this is for marriage. A man shall leave his father and mother and cleave to his wife, and they shall become one flesh, both physically and through their covenant with one another, right? Marriage, like they're bound together. That's what marriage is. And of course, this one finally is bone of my bones, also is the argument for a wife before Adam, but just someone who basically rebelled. That's basically the whole gist of it. I believe her name is Lilith. So yeah, that's where the argument comes from. Again, this is like a four-tier issue. I really don't see like the like if you want to believe it, go ahead. If you don't want to, you don't have to. But Yeah, so and then last verse, and the man and his wife were both naked and were not ashamed, signifying innocence, and like because of course they didn't know that really does signify innocence and sinlessness, right? That's what it is. They haven't sinned yet. So yeah, and I did really want to talk about also where was it? Yeah. Send him to cultivate it and keep it. So this part, keep it, we already went over that it does mean to protect, but protect the garden from what? This is where the whole creation before like humans before Adam the argument comes from. And I do agree. I do think that there were creations before Adam like as like humans, but to call them subhumans the way evolutionists say it is not true because these would be the ones because it's Adam and then the man is Ha Adam in verse 2. So here they're in the image of God already. He created man in his own image. So already they're in the image of God. They're not subhumans. Like people try to say like Neanderthals are like something lesser or even a little bit above, but just not like Adam because they don't have the breath of life. They were already in the image of God. So what exactly? Well, they were just people. What exactly happened? I do believe that they already fell because at this point, remember, Satan already fell. So evil did exist. So what I think happened is that um the creation outside or because the garden wasn't even made yet at this point, um basically Satan probably tempted them and like probably had them tainted. I don't know exactly what happened, but he probably something did happen for Adam to basically protect it because yeah, if he's protecting it, what exactly would it be from? It wasn't Satan because he already got in. I mean, like he literally got in, so it's not like he told him protect them from Satan. That's not what happened. No, just to protect it. So from what I do believe it is like humans outside of it. So that is my personal theory. But yeah, that is basically everything. So to summarize this, yes, the earth was created in 7 days. I will say this as much as I need to. Then the next part, the shift from the last part to a new generation, new basically storyline. So now it starts to use Yahweh God to signify personalization. Then talks about how nothing, this is the condition of the earth before man. So no plant had grown. So because God had not caused it yet to rain upon the earth, and there was no one to cultivate the ground. And then the whole stream and mist, we went over that with the picture. I can go pull it up again. Um Yeah, so it looks something like this because a lot of translations say mist and then other ones say stream. So it looks something like that. So yeah, and then we move on. Yahweh forming Adam, so form man of dust from the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life. So the man became a living soul. So yeah, the soul is the blood. It's not a separate entity like a ghost. It's something that you become, not the something you have or you're already inherently with. So that's not what it is. And then Yahweh God planted the garden, and toward these, there he planted the man. So he grew the Garden of Eden, active creation, not something that he just planted and let it be. No, God planted it. He actively created it, and then he placed the man. And then every tree, so God caused to grow it again, his active creation. And then geography lesson where it could have been again grow it and keep it, protect it from what I do believe it is the humans outside of the garden. I do believe that something happened that made them probably tainted. So what exactly? No say. Like I probably Satan is my best guess. It's probably the only guess. And then God's commandment: any tree you can eat except for the tree of knowledge of good and evil. One boundary, of course, giving freedom to everything else. And from it you shall surely die. Surely dying signifies a lot of people are kind of like try to interpret this. So it could either mean like spiritual separation, the way like most unbelievers or all unbelievers are, or like the signification of mortality, like that once you eat from it, you will start to actually die. Like of course, you wouldn't live forever anymore, like if they eat from the tree of life. And then we talk about it is not good for the man to be alone. So yes, everyone, find a partner. You should be married, having kids. It is a good thing. And it is not good for you to be alone. Then God said he will make him a helper. God or Adam named everything. And then Yahweh God had him sleep, and then took one of his ribs, and God fashioned the rib, built the rib, and made it into a woman. But of course, it wasn't. Also, did want to talk about this a little bit more. Sig taking the rib out signifies, I guess, first when you open the rib, right? Jesus, I'm sorry. When you take out the rib, it's from the side, right? For me, when I read this, it signifies more of them being equal because he didn't take it from the head to be above him, nor from the feet to be necessarily below Adam, but from the side, equal signifying equality that we are all one under Christ. We're not no man is better than a woman and no woman is better than a man, right? Just that we have different roles. Like we go over that in Ephesians. Like, so no, sexism is not okay. Okay, guys, like it's not good at all. So yeah, and then the story about how Eve came to be, and then Adam saying, "This one finally is bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. This one shall be called woman because this one was taken out of man." So this is the argument for a wife before Adam that rebelled. And then, therefore, a man shall leave his father and his mother and cleave to his wife, and they shall become one flesh. The foundation of marriage with the covenant between one another. So, a man and a wife, man and woman, that's all marriage should be. I will gladly say that. And the man and his wife were both naked and were not ashamed, signifying innocence. So, yeah, that is Genesis 2. I hope you guys did enjoy. Sorry for being gone for so long. But I'm gonna try to get them out sooner. But yeah, that was Genesis 2. Like I said, I hope you guys enjoyed and can't wait to see y'all for the next one.